In the forgotten hamlet of Grey Hollow, nestled deep within the misty valleys of rural England, the air hung heavy with secrets older than the craggy hills that loom like silent sentinels. The village, a cluster of weathered stone cottages and narrow lanes, seemed frozen in time, its isolation a shield against the modern world. Yet beneath its quaint exterior pulsed a darkness that the villagers carried like a collective scar. For centuries, they whispered of a curse tied to a crimson powder known as Sindoor, a substance brought to Grey Hollow by a mysterious traveler in the 17th century, said to have been a wandering mystic fleeing a distant land. The traveler, a woman cloaked in vibrant silks, had sought refuge after a failed ritual left her marked by a vengeful spirit. In her desperation, she gifted the Sindoor to the village as a blessing for a young bride, only for it to become a harbinger of doom. The legend spoke of the first bride, Eleanor Grayson, whose wedding night in 1673 turned to horror when the Sindoor she wore ignited a spectral presence. A gaunt, crimson-streaked figure known as the Shadow Bride, Eleanor vanished that night, and the village awoke to fields drenched in blood red, dew, livestock dead, and a chilling wail echoing from the churchyard. The elders, in their panic, consulted ancient texts and learned the Sindoor was no mere cosmetic but a binding agent, linking the wearer to the spirit through a deadly ritual. Every 50 years, a new bride was chosen to wear it, her life offered to appease the curse, or so they hoped. Few returned, and those who did were never the same, their eyes hollow, their voices carrying an otherworldly echo. Lila Carter, a 26-year-old artist with a haunted past, arrived in Grey Hollow seeking solitude. Her life in London had unraveled after a car accident claimed her fiancé James, leaving her with guilt that gnawed at her soul. Painting had become her refuge, and the remote village, with its wild landscapes and quiet charm, promised healing. She rented a crumbling cottage on the edge of the hamlet, its stone walls etched with moss and its windows overlooking the brooding blackthorn wood. Her auburn hair and gentle demeanor stood out among the villagers, who eyed her with a mixture of curiosity and suspicion. Lila's sharp mind, honed by years of analyzing art history, and her quiet strength made her an enigma, a trait that would soon draw the elders' attention as the curse's cycle loomed out. The first signs of the curse's return came in early autumn. The fields, once lush with barley, began to wither, their stalks turning a sickly gray. Livestock grew restless, their bleats turning to panicked cries, and some were found dead with red streaks carved into their hides. Stranger still, faint lights flickered in the blackthorn wood at night, like willow-wisps dancing to an unseen tune. The villagers grew tense, their whispers growing louder in the Grey Hollow pub, where old men recounted tales of past rituals. "It's time again," muttered Thomas Hargrove, the village historian, his gnarled hands clutching a pint. "Another bride must take the oath." For more bone-chilling tales that will keep you awake, subscribe to HS Horror Story on YouTube, and step into the shadows with us. Lila noticed the change, but dismissed it as village superstition at first. She spent her days sketching the misty hills, her canvases filling with dark, swirling shapes that mirrored her inner turmoil. Yet the villagers' stares grew more pointed, their greetings colder. Children stopped playing near her cottage, and women crossed the street to avoid her. One evening, as she walked home from the market, she overheard a conversation behind the church. "She's got no kin," said a woman's voice, "perfect for the ritual." Lila's heart sank, but she shook it off, attributing it to her imagination until the council summoned her. The meeting took place in the old church, its pews worn and its stained glass windows depicting scenes of harvest now tinged with an unnatural red hue. The council, a group of 6 elders led by Reverend Elias Merrill, gathered around a table lit by flickering candles. The air smelled of damp stone and incense, and the ancient standing stone in the corner, its surface etched with runes that seemed to pulse under the moonlight loomed over them. Elias, a gaunt man with sunken eyes, cleared his throat. "Lila Carter, you've been chosen," he intoned, his voice devoid of warmth. "The curse demands a bride, and your status as an outsider makes you suitable." Lila's stomach churned. "Chosen? I'm not marrying anyone," she protested, her voice echoing off the stone walls. The elders exchanged glances, their faces unyielding. "It's not a marriage," Elias explained, his tone flat. "It's a binding. The Sindoor will link you to the Shadow Bride, appeasing her wrath, or breaking the curse if you're strong enough." He slid a small, ornate box across the table, its lid carved with faded symbols. Inside lay a vial of Crimson Sindoor, its color unnaturally vivid as if it pulsed with life. Lila recoiled, her mind racing. "This is madness." "I won't do it." Her protests were met with cold silence. Thomas Hargrove leaned forward, his voice low. "The curse began with Eleanor Grayson's betrayal, her refusal to honor a pact with the Traveler. Since then, the Shadow Bride has claimed a bride every 50 years. Last time, in 1973, young Margaret Wells returned, but she wasn't Margaret anymore. She wandered the woods, speaking to shadows, until she vanished for good. The room grew colder, and Lila felt a shiver crawl up her spine. "It's for Grey Hollow," Elias muttered, as if the phrase absolved them of guilt. The night of the ritual arrived, the sky heavy with a blood-red hue that stained the horizon. Lila, clad in a white gown streaked with ash forced upon her by the villagers, was led to the churchyard. Her wrists were bound with coarse rope, her protests muffled by the wind that carried whispers, sounding suspiciously like her name. The air grew colder with each step, the fog thickening as they approached the circle of ancient stones. Twisted, leafless trees surrounded the site, their branches clawing at the sky like skeletal hands. At the center stood the keeper, an old woman shrouded in tattered shawls, her face hidden until she turned, revealing eyes that glowed with an unnatural amber light. Her voice, when she spoke, was a rasping chorus of the dead. "Apply the Sindoor, child. Bind yourself, or the spirit claims us all." Lila's hands trembled as she was handed the vial. The crimson powder felt warm, almost alive, as she smeared it across her forehead. The moment it touched her skin, the ground shuddered, and the stones glowed with a sickly red light. A figure emerged from the shadows, a gaunt, spectral bride, with hollow eyes and a face streaked with crimson Sindoor, her presence radiating malice. The Shadow Bride lunged, her icy touch flooding Lila's mind with visions. A wedding night turned to slaughter, a traveler's betrayal, and a promise. Broken in blood, Lila realized the Sindoor wasn't just a mark, it was a chain binding